Hey Marvel Strike Force, we got the StarJammers updates. They didn't perform very well this last weekend. Lost most matches I saw. Um, Lost to old counters. They didn't do well. Um, and I think there's a lot of key reasons that played into that. I think they didn't. They, their turn order didn't make sense. Havoc had bugs that made his speed stat increase for the team not work depending on the position of the character that he was versing. Um, Howard going turn the third in the team, turning off the speed stopping mechanic. Having no mechanics on the team to be able to get off of pre-taunts. So they dealt really poorly with buff flips or with heavy buff teams like Liberty. So all of those things combined. Oh, and Rocket hits like a pool noodle. He does nothing. Let's go see if they fixed any of that. So they reviewed our feedback. They are they wanted to go out and fix some goals. The first thing they wanted to do was Havoc's speed stat was inconsistent and confusing. I agree. Having his speed stat changed based on who has speed bar, who doesn't have speed bar. I overall think that changing it to be something static is better. Even if it's not as good, I think it's just confusing. I don't want to have to calculate ticks on turns mid-match to figure out when somebody's going to go based on did I knock off the speed bar on the fourth character. Like, that's a good change. Howard the Duck's anti-speed bar manipulation, it's powerful, and it was powerful on one character for a reason. It was, it's still he was a 120 character, 120 speed character. That's pretty slow in the Marvel Strike Force world. So he stopped most on spawn, early spawn speed mechanics so that people couldn't get ahead of the Starjammers. I think that was good. Um, However, it looks like they decided to shore up some problems. They talk about Super Scroll and then wanting to turn the tide against him. We'll talk about that more later when we get to the part where I want to talk about the Crucible as a whole. But that concerns me. I don't think shoring that up was good. Lilander's ultimate was extremely powerful. It still was a standard clear and gating things like it stopped them from clearing things like safeguard. So the problem that this team really ran into and noticed was safeguard taunt is really hard to get through if you don't have a way to get rid of it or kill it. And so they made Lilandra have a decay effect instead of a clear effect. But we'll talk about that later. Lilandra goes fourth on the team. So if you go fourth, we'll talk about the turn order down the road when we get to her part. So that was their goals to fix. I don't think they met most of them. I think they did things that just don't make a whole lot of sense. I'm going to start with the easiest character first, and that's Rocket Raccoon. Um, Rocket is the character that goes third on the team. It goes Havoc, Howard, Rocket, Lilandra, Groot. That is the turn order that happens. So Rocket. So if we're going Havoc first, Havoc goes ahead and attacks into a pre-taunt with Safeguard and doesn't get off of it. Rocket Raccoon uses this special. He calls in an assist from Groot. He then puts counters and taunt up. I'm pretty sure is what it is. So they made Rocket's turn one is still the same. Rocket got extra health, which I don't think Rocket needed. No, I don't know if anybody complaining Rocket was dying. Um, they made Rocket lower max barrier of all enemies by 25%. Max barrier's already 30% unless there's a team that's buffing it. So that's counterintuitive for Havoc, because Havoc gives speed based on barrier, Havoc pings based on barrier. Why are we removing max barrier? That one doesn't make sense to me. It just seems like that makes the team not function properly. It does work in all game modes, but requires all four, and StarJammers stink outside of Crucible, so I don't think it has any value. So, whatever. I think it's the wrong fix for Rocket. Personally, I think Rocket needed um, damage on his ultimate. It was okay that his special didn't do a ton. It was kind of the ramping turn, because really what this team wants to do is it wants to use Havoc and Rocket to focus fire one person, get them low, then Lander comes in and gets the kill on them and gives them safeguard. That's kind of how the team's supposed to function. Oh, and Howard goes in there too, and Howard does something. But that's not how it ended up functioning. So now we have Groot. They changed him from being, if he's above 40%, the 100% reduced assist chance to always reduce assist chance if there's 4. I think that's fine. I don't think that's a big deal, but I also don't know why it was changed. It didn't feel like it needed it. So whatever. Maybe there was a nuanced case for something there that I didn't know about. APOC punch Groot and then tickle him with something, and all of a sudden you could assist. Like, I'm not sure. They buffed Lilandra's Gladiator spawn. That's fine. He didn't feel very strong. He felt like he got tickled by something and all of a sudden was 50% and had no taunt up again. So them buffing that I think is fine. Lilandra having a DK effect, I don't think solves the problem. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good. But did it fix the team and what was wrong with it? And I don't think so. Because the turn order is still going to go like this. Havoc's going to ult turn 1 into either a pre-taunt or whatever random target he ticks. It's single target damage, and that puts defense down out there. Then Rocket's going to go and do single target damage into a random character also. He's going to call in an assist, he's going to taunt Groot, blah, blah, blah. Then Lilandra goes, and then she does her buff flip and nuke. It will make her nuke do more damage because it will probably clear defense down if they had safeguard. So that part's good. It's going to make Lilandra pop off a lot more. But, oh, sorry, I keep forgetting about Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck would ult. He would come in there and ult and do damage and put ability blocks out there. But it's still going to put ability blocks on a pre-taunt. It's still, because, again, the pre-taunt's not gone. Not until Lilandra goes. So Howard the Duck will ability block, shoot into the target. He might hit the corner, so he's not even hitting all 3 targets. He's only hitting one or two. And then Lilandra goes and pops off. And that might be when the team gets rolling. But let's talk about who's next. The character after Lilandra is Groot. Groot's first ability is DK debuffs. No damage. Why are we buff flipping to then use the character that does nothing? What is that? That turn order is stupid. It needs to be Havoc first, Lilandra second, then it needs to be Duck, then Rocket. That should be the turn order. Then Groot at the very end. And it could even be Groot then Rocket. It doesn't matter. Pick your poison. I don't care. But the fact that Lilandra is still not second is a problem. She should be second. At least third. I mean, her being fourth is stupid. It doesn't make the team function. It doesn't change any of the problems. Let's go read Howard the Duck. And he is the one I have the most problems with. Howard the Duck's kit, I didn't think needed much. The change to the special, I think, is fine. I think it's good. The special felt pretty empty. It cleared barrier and did damage. It got extra damage, I think, for going against targets with barrier. So it was another anti-barrier mechanic. But again, his damage scaling's off barrier, but Rocket's removing most barrier from the game, so his damage scaling went away. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And then Howard's passive. Howard's passive is where I have the most problems. In Crucible, before this character takes a turn, speed bar cannot be filled or reduced by any enemy, themselves, allies, or enemies. This is all the same. If this character has 4 or more StarJammer allies, this does not have exhausted. This character persists after the character takes their turn. So he now has the Captain Britain effect if they have all the members. This stops Super Scroll, this stops Nightcrawler, this stops everything. We now have Captain Britain, we now have Howard the Duck, and we now have Immortal that all do the exact same thing. So How are we supposed to run any sort of defense that has speed bar fill when 3 of our rooms have speed bar fill mechanics blockers? And then let's get down to Havoc, and then we'll talk about where I think Crucible is with these changes. Havoc special. They buffed its damage. It's still really good. I don't think that changes anything. His special is his turn 2 ability on defense. It's his turn 1 ability on offense. That is a problem. And then his ultimate now clears positive effects and charge on the primary target. It still doesn't deal with Safeguard Taunt, so you still take Safeguard Taunt into this team, and it's fine. I don't get it. All it does is now counters Black Knight a little bit, which I'm still not sure it completely counters Black Knight, because it might be you just take another pre-taunt and then make it be a 50-50. I don't think that solves it. It's probably what you do now. I don't think that solves it. So, okay, that's weird. And then his ultimate, they buffed it. It's now 300% piercing damage, but he only is going to ping when they have Bear, and they're not going to have Bear because of Rocket. So Havoc on his team is now worse than when Havoc was off his team. I don't get what they're doing here. In Crucible, he now has static speed. I think that's good. I think that was the change I would have liked to have seen for it. Now let's talk about what I would have liked to have seen for this team. This team, I would have liked to have seen Havoc left alone. Maybe you could have done the ultimate change. That's fine. I would have done the passive change that they did, but I also would have done. I would have changed his AI on defense. He should not ult on defense. He should special on defense. We have characters that do this, like Shuri and Rogue. We need something like that for Havoc, because right now Havoc ults on defense instead of specialing, and if you take the mirror match in, you just auto lose. Like, the offense wins no matter what, defense loses. And that forces this team to play on offense. That means that if Illuminati's on defense, this team is automatically going into Illuminati, so that forces Illuminati to offense. And Immortal is only offense. So all three of these teams are offense only. I would have also changed the turn order on this team. I would have gone Havoc, Lilandra, Howard, Rocket, Groot. I think that's a better turn order for this team, and I think that would have solved most of the problems with this team. I also probably would have given a little bit of damage to Groot's ult. Not a lot, kind of like how Invisible Woman has a little bit of damage. And then I also would have buffed Rocket's ult, because I don't see any problem with the turn 2 ability having like a time bomb effect like Rocket used to have. Rocket not having that anymore feels wrong. And I wouldn't have done anything like they did with Rocket, because I think they've kind of made the kits not function. It's weird. Now, as far as Crucible for the future, I think it's broken. What do you put on defense? Mephisto, countered by Null. Astral, countered by anything with speed. Liberty, countered by S6. S6 plus Mysterio. It's also countered by Immortal. Immortal counters Super Scroll. Odin needs something to protect him, but Gladiator can't protect him because Lilandra exists. There's only certain pre-taunts that can even do anything, and I'm not sure they do anything because Immortal exists. They stop the pre-taunts. This team is faster than every team in the game because of all their speed blocking mechanics. And Logan can't play on defense. Nightcrawler can't play on defense. Black Cat can't play on defense. Like, who's supposed to play on defense? What do we have? Raid teams? We don't have any. Like, Mighty can't play on defense. Like, Alpha Flight is Warlock. Kahori can't play on defense. Shadow King can't play on defense. Mephisto and APOC are now don't get empowered because of Null. Like, what are we supposed to play on defense, Scopely? What do you want on defense? Everything is offense. Omega Red is stupid on defense. He has a chain attack that goes and hits one target and he stands there. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to put on defense now. There's nothing. You haven't made an offense or a defense team in a year. So Crucible has gotten Cabal, Illuminati, and then it went Omega Red, Immortal X-Men, and now Starjammers. Only one team has been capable of playing on defense. I don't understand what we're doing. Um, and if we want Crucible to be good, when it's most fun is when there's interaction between the characters. When one character goes and the next character goes on the other team, and they go back and forth, and there's turn orders that happen, and there's stuns, and characters die on both sides, and it's actually a closer match. It's not, oh, I took 3 turns and they died. So, yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Crucible. I think what I think Crucible needs right now to even have a remote chance of being even okay is it needs 100% health and armor right now. Defense needs 100% health and armor, and global rules need a real impactful rule like War has. Um, all of the room rules need a huge room rule because there's nothing to put on defense. We have to put old we have to put hodgepodge teams of other game modes on defense. We have to pull like there's nothing to put on defense. All our Omega characters are countered. There's none. The only Omega character that I don't think has a counter right now is Null, and he still I think does because of Emma X-Men. Um, so who do you put on defense? Xavier? Is that the only character that's going to be allowed on defense? And he still has a counter too. He can be trauma stunned. He can be trauma stunned. So what do you put on defense? Oh my. That's all I got for today. We're going to talk about more of this in this next week. I think we're going to get the room rules on Wednesday when they do the Envoy tournament, and I want to go over the room rules and make defenses. Stay tuned for that.